Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. This is going to be awesome. We are taking a look at the JM21 from FiiO. We're kind of on this FiiO kick if you haven't noticed. We're almost done. We got one more thing after this to review, some really cool new stuff that they have. This is an MP3 player, but it sort of takes MP3 to the next level because it does so much more. It's a fully functional Android device that punches way above its weight, and I can't wait to check it out. You're not going to want to miss this. I think it's fair to say that most of us are probably still consuming a healthy amount of digital audio, even though we are enjoying a lot of analog these days. And I'm no different. So I want to have a good MP3 player. I'll explain that in a minute. This is the FiiO JM21. Packaging on point as per the usual. And this is high-res certified as well as high-res audio wireless certified. And as you can see there, it says Jade Audio. I don't know what that means, but it is Qualcomm aptX, Qualcomm aptX HD, Bluetooth, LDAC, as well as AAC compatible. So let's go ahead, get into it, and see what we got here. Now I feel like my little magic trick of removing the shrink wrap wasn't quite as slick last time, so I'm going to try a little bit harder this time. All right, that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, slides out apparently. We've got the JM21 moniker right there on the top. The device, ooh, it's a little bigger than I thought it would be, and heavy too. Heavy is definitely something they consistently do. All right, so we got foam packing materials, an accessory box within the box, and we zoom out a bit here so you can see a little better. All right, we've got our silica packet, our little instructions. This looks a lot like what we had in the last device. By the way, I've been listening more to that CD player. Thanks for telling me how to stop the disc. It's pretty funny that I couldn't figure that out. All right, so we got a quick start guide. And that is it for the box. USB-C, charging port, and now the piece de resistance. This is not, I like the form factor. I like the fact this is the size that it is. Ooh, nice. It feels like a cell phone. I mean, it feels like you're holding a mobile device. Very cool. Okay. Digging it. Very much digging it so far. So FiiO is famous for their MP3 players. They have a huge line of MP3 players. And I wanted to show you some of the ones from their website here. They have lossless players. They have portables, non-portables, everything in between, all different form factors, use cases. Look at this little one. Looks like an old iPod Shuffle. And it's amazing, the variety. They all seem to be really nice. I think there's even more than that, but that's just the ones that I'm seeing on their website. It's $179, which is definitely not chump change. For an MP3 player, you can go out and buy cheap MP3 players for 15, 20, 30 bucks on Amazon or eBay all day. But this promises to be something special, something different. This is definitely a quality device. As a point of reference, not only in size but in use case, I wanted to show you what I'm using now. This is my daily driver MP3 player. Probably of all the audio devices that I have, including record players, etc., I'm listening to this thing more consistently than anything else in the house. Every single night, without fail, I listen to this device. As I've stated before, I like to relax before bedtime by listening to movie audio, TV audio, or ambient sounds. So I'll make audio recordings of my favorite movies that I own a copy of for my own use, and I will load the MP3 onto here, and I will just enjoy listening as I fall asleep. It is Bluetooth out, so I can use some wireless sleep headphones, like the headband kind. You can see it's a little scratched up. I have reviewed this, and my overall thought process on this is I do like it, but it's completely touchscreen based. Even this down here, it's flat. There's no physical buttons on the side. Well, there is, actually, I lied. There's a like a mode switch, power switch, and then there's a volume rocker. There are no physical buttons. Now, looking at this, I see the same thing is pretty much happening here. We've got, we really have transport controls on this one, physical button transport controls. And on this side, we've got a power mode switch as well as volume button. So I'm hoping because in the middle of the night, especially if you're doing it blind, it's much better to have a physical button because you'll learn where the power button is, where the volume button is. But on this, it lights up, it's beautiful, it works, does a great job. But your finger, there's no physical tactile interaction going on. Those aren't even micro switch buttons. It's all capacitive touch. Well, I should say this is no actual touching on the screen, but down here. So it's a little annoying in that regard. Sound quality and everything, functionality is fine. It's got a onboard storage and SD card storage as well. But anyway, that's what I'm using now, and that's what I'm looking to replace, hopefully, with this. And I really like the form factor. Like, that's a good size. I keep saying that, but that's like a perfect size. It kind of feels like an iPhone 4 in comparison. This thing's a little tiny. Now, I'm not here to watch a bunch of visual content on the device. I want to get it set quickly, and then I want to put it down and fall asleep. But the display, the UI needs to be, easy to navigate. This one, once you kind of learn its quirks, it's fine. But this is kind of dinky. Although this is built well, I believe it has a glass front and back. I mean, it is also hefty for its size. But this is just a good size. It's almost as big as my iPhone. Now, one thing that I love about this that I can't stand about the iPhone, you say, why don't you just load your music on here? I listen to Apple Music on here. Why don't you just load everything on here? Because this is, a fancy MP3 player too. Everybody's phone is. I don't want notifications. I don't want to be connected to the outside world when I'm listening at night. I want to be disconnected. I don't want any notifications, no pop-ups, no text messages. I want to, completely be disconnected from the world. Can't do that with this very well because, I have to physically be able to take call. I could silence it, and I have to sometimes, but I have to be connected with this device to some degree because, what if one of the kids has a problem or something? Family issues, whatever, can come up. Work emergencies, have to be able to be connected. I really want the phone to be a communications device more than anything. So anyway, the one thing about this though is it does have Wi-Fi connectivity. So it is kind of stepping over into the territory of being a fully fledged device. I plan on having it disconnected from any network or connectivity once I get it configured and set up. But you can do upgrade like firmware updates and stuff with the Wi-Fi connectivity. All right, let's tour the device. We have on the bottom here 3 connections. We have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which also doubles as a line output and a coaxial output. We got the USB-C charging port, and we have a 4.4 millimeter balanced audio output as well. Now, if we look on this side, we've got this power switch. There's an indicator light, and there's a volume up and down. Nothing on the top side. On this side, we have a TF/SD card slot, forward and back skip on the buttons, as well as a play pause. Finally, let's turn this thing on. We're going to press and hold. I've got the full light happening right now. By the way, FiiO is the parent brand. Jade Audio is one of their sub brands, kind of like Snowski with those headphones we were looking at the other day. So this is easily viewable so far. I've only got the red logo, but so far it's easily viewable in daylight. This has like a crazy amount of battery capacity, so you'll be able to listen to this the way I do, maybe an hour or two a night, maybe 3 hours a night. Sometimes I'll sleep the whole night with the thing playing. Usually I wake up about an hour and a half afterwards and I shut it off. But I'll probably be able to get days, if not weeks, out of this. So let's scroll down to English, which is going to be my preferred language, and select OK. Ooh, look at that. It's got a wallpaper. They're very proud of their op amps, and you hear me talk about that quite a bit. So this is running on Android, and it looks like it. It's got a Play Store. There's a couple different applications that are installed. It is very much like an Android cell phone, and it's got gestures just like a phone does. You can swipe up from the bottom to go between screens, recent items. You can, let's see, I'm still learning it. I'm also an Apple person, so I haven't been on an Android phone in a while. I do have an Android tablet, a couple of them, which I like Android a lot, but I'm not quite as used to the Android way of doing things. But you can swipe right, swipe left. There's a number of gestures. You can pinch and zoom out. It's got a browser. It's got all this stuff. So let's dive into the actual software and the MP3 capability. Oh yeah, I wanted to show before I forget just how cool this back panel looks. That is really, really cool. And it comes with this clear protective case, and you can pop that off. And I'm probably not going to do that because I just like the idea of it being on. I would want that anyway, so I'm going to leave it on, but you can remove that. I love this beautiful blue color as well. It also comes factory installed with a screen protector. It's installed at the factory, so that's a really good thing as well. So yeah, let me go ahead and load some content on here, and then we'll talk through the various functions. Okay, time has gone by, several hours now, and I've spent a lot of time with this thing. I'm going to show you. We're still going to look at it, but my first impressions are that it's very robust, and it's basically like having a storage device and a cell phone and an MP3 player and a tablet and pretty much a phone all in one. It's much more, there's many more things you can do with this than my old MP3 player. That being said, I'm very much looking forward to the added functionality. A couple quick notes. I did have a couple of issues with it disconnecting when I was transferring files. I did load a lot of stuff on here. It's got approximately 20 or 22 gigs of internal storage, and about 18 of that are available. I've got everything that I need on this like 32 gig SD card slot. So anyway, I did notice that when it was transferring files for like long periods of time, I was having a couple of times where it would disconnect and I have to unplug it and replug it in. But that totally could have been my computer. I've got a very poorly performing computer right now. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say that was probably my computer more than it was this. Also, a lot of devices these days have what's called an oleophobic coating on the glass, meaning that it resists fingerprints. This apparently does not. So it's very fingerprint heavy, if that makes sense. It attracts fingerprints quickly, and even the back does. And by the way, this is like a TPU rubberized case, so you can just pop it off if you don't like this protective case. I'm going to leave it on, but I did want to show you that does come off easily. I'm not sure. This is aluminum. I'm not sure if... I think the bottom piece may be plastic, but the blue is aluminum. Glass, obviously. It's a very hefty unit, like I keep saying over and over. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the operating system and the menu interface. Okay, so to bring it to life, you just press that little button right there. I mean, it's essentially an Android tablet, like a microscopic Android tablet. You swipe up from the bottom, and from here, you've got the typical Android interface of the time, the date, whatever apps you've loaded here, and then you can go over here, and it's got the basic Android apps that you would get. I also added YouTube, TuneIn Radio. It's got the Google Play Store, so you can add anything you want, really. Also, there's a FiiO control app. If you have other FiiO devices, you can control it. I've got Apple Music. We'll do a direct feed sound test as well. I'll use the Apple Music, but that'll allow you to hear the chips and whatnot that are on board, because most of the audio I've loaded on here is low res, because I listen to old-time radio, ambient sounds, things that are not like super high res. So it's kind of ironic that I've got it on a high res player, but the Apple Music being lossless will be a really good test of that. You can swipe down from the top and switch modes and just put it defaults to Android mode, which is, Android operating system, but you can go to pure music, which shuts off everything, no notifications, and you're just in the music player itself. And that's everything. Everything is the music player. There's nothing else to it. And then you can change that to AirPlay mode. If you want to do AirPlay and it just brings it up like an AirPlay control device, you can exit that and go over to DAC mode. If you want to use it as a DAC, you can go to Bluetooth receiving mode if you want it to do that. And that brings up a really good question. How about Bluetooth transmission mode? So if I want to connect it to Bluetooth headphones, Bluetooth transmission mode, you just, go down here, go to Bluetooth, and then you can pair the device. It's pretty simple like that. But going back into the player, FiiO Music app, it's a really cool app. It's very Android-y, you know what I mean? It's not... There's a lot of controls, there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, you've got a lot of control in here. So if I go over here, you can create an account, you can log in, you've got theme options, EQ options, so you can go in here and adjust different EQ settings. You can play with sound effects, balancing. There's just so many different things. Sleep timers, so many different settings. I mean, this is a very fully featured device. Like I said, I've got an SD card in there. There's also internal storage, which I'm just leaving as system storage right now. So if I click on the SD card, it's going to bring up whatever folder system I have on there. Right now, I've got library 1 and 2. So if I click on 1, it's going to bring up the different folders that I have. So I've got a lot of radio, a lot of vintage music and things. So let's go to Bing Crosby Miscellaneous. Got some radio shows on here. So if I click on that, it will load the player, and the player loads at the bottom, as you can see. So if I zoom out here a little bit and I tap down here, it's going to bring up this screen, which will have album art if it's available. Otherwise, it'll use one of the default ones. I picked this record player looking one. That's kind of the best. You got transport controls. You can heart songs. You can put them into playlists, all the stuff you would expect. Very similar to like Android Music or Apple Music or something like that. You can even divide up your songs by bit rate, which is pretty interesting, the sampling rate. So there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice it. Again, it's very Android-y, so there's a lot of things you can do to fiddle around with things and do the same task in multiple different ways. So if you look, there's 4 different options down here. So this like record player thing is obviously the media player itself. If you go over here, it's your favorites list. You can go here and connect to a media server if you want. And then this right here is where you would log in with your account. You can create a FiiO account. And also in here, you can choose some different themes. So there's different theme options for the look of the device. I've got the deep black option and then the default album cover display. Like I said, there's some it defaults to this one here, sort of a concert crowd, and I changed it to this record player. Or you can upload an image of your own. So again, this is really overkill for what I'm going to be doing with it, because you can get into videos, other applications, any Android app you can probably run on this. Games, potentially, things I'm never going to do. I just want a solid MP3 player. So anyway, that's the gist of it. I don't want this to be a 5-hour long video talking about an MP3 player. You know what they're for, what they do, but I do want to demonstrate it in some way. So what I'm going to do is focus on the hardware. So this thing runs on Android 13. It's got a Snapdragon processor with 8 cores. It's got 2 of the FiiO flagship chips, and they go into incredible detail on their website talking about the almost infinite list of file formats that this thing is compatible with, the powerful headphone amplifiers, the focus on sound quality, the premium circuitry, etc. Even the transistors are the best kind of transistors. So what I think would be best is really to demonstrate the hardware more than the software. Obviously, this is a very software-heavy device. It's very, the touchscreen GUI is Android, so it's very complex, like we keep saying. So let's listen to the DAC. Let's listen to the actual audio coming out of this. And to do that, I'm just going to listen to some Kevin MacLeod with you guys over the headphone jack through Apple Music. Okay, I get a lot of grief saying his name wrong, and I think I already did in the video. Kevin MacLeod. Okay, there. I think that's the first time I've ever said it right. I want to point out, too, that at least in Apple Music, it does this cool thing where it changes the look. I think it's an Apple Music thing, where it changes the color of the interface to match the color of the album, which is really cool. So if I go over to here and I'm playing a song, oops, hit play there, then I go here, see the color changed. So I think that's a neat feature for sure. Okay, direct feed sound test time, please. Put your headphones on. You are directly connected to the FiiO JM21 recorder, and here we go. I think that this is a very cool device. I have since moved off of my other device. Everything that was on there is now on here. And tonight will be the first night that I really listen to it critically. Let me jump in right here really quick. So it's the next morning as of the filming of this clip, as I'm editing the video. It was fine. It worked really good. There was no problems with it whatsoever. I was really impressed too how quickly it remembered the Bluetooth connection. As soon as I turned on my Bluetooth headphones, it connected to them immediately. Much better than the other unit. So after the first night, it's still like a really good unit in my opinion. I'm gonna say 2 thumbs up. This is a great little unit. It appears to be anyway. So battery life is supposed to be over 12 hours. Everybody says it's got great reviews. So I'm really looking forward to having this. I'm thankful that I've had an opportunity to upgrade. The old player was fine for what it was, not perfect. I'm sure this isn't perfect either, but it is definitely a step up. It is a bit pricey, but in terms of high res, quality MP3, and I keep saying MP3, but I'm just using that as a blanket kind of Kleenex term for digital audio player. They're calling them DAPs now. So a quality DAP, digital audio player that plays so many different file types, lossless. You can even play Sony DSD files, direct stream digital files on this. The complexity or the compatibility is insane. It's absolutely insane. So my little wimpy low bitrate MP3s will not be a problem for this. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, it's awesome. What can I say? It's completely awesome. If you're interested, 2 thumbs up. I'll put a link in the description below. Let me know how you consume digital music, specifically non-streaming digital music. If you do listen to MP3, waves, whatever the case may be, how do you consume that? What device are you listening on? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget, you guys, we've got custom 45 adapters. We've got all sorts of merch, and you are cordially invited to join our $1 a month membership program for exclusive content and other awesome benefits. But mostly, I just want to say a huge thank you to you for being there and spending time with us. That's going to do it for today. Happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.